Along the main road that leads to the glittering modern international airport in Mumbai, India, there's a long concrete wall. And on that wall, stretching for what seems like miles, are advertisements for a brand of Italian-style floor tiles. The tiles are called vitrified tiles, and the slogan, repeated over and over, promises a beautiful forever. But what lies behind that wall? What is being hidden by that promise of a clean, beautiful, and permanent future? In her Pulitzer Prize-winning masterpiece of reporting, Behind the Beautiful Forevers, the journalist Katherine takes us over that wall. She takes us into the sprawling, precarious, and fiercely alive slum of Annawadi. This is not just a story about poverty, it is a deep, philosophical, and unforgettable journey into a hidden world of fierce ambition, of desperate hope, of devastating corruption, and of the incredible, resilient, and often contradictory nature of the human spirit. This is the story of the people who live in the shadow of our modern, globalized world, and it is a story that will change the way you see the world forever. The ecosystem of a slum. To understand this story, you first have to understand the place. Annawadi is not an ancient, established slum. It is a new one, a temporary makeshift settlement built on a patch of foul-smelling swampland, wedged between the Mumbai airport and a series of gleaming five-star luxury hotels. Its residents are migrants, people who have come to the great city of Mumbai from all over India, chasing the dream of a better life. Annawadi is a place of incredible precarity. It is a maze of makeshift huts, cobbled together from scraps of metal, plastic tarps, and salvaged wood. The ground is unstable, the water is toxic, and the entire community lives under the constant threat of demolition by the airport authorities who officially own the land. But it is also a place of vibrant and complex economic life. The entire economy of Annawadi is built on the trash of the rich. The young men and boys of the slum are scavengers. They spend their days sorting through the garbage generated by the airport and the luxury hotels, looking for recyclable materials, plastic bottles, scrap metal, cardboard, that they can sell to middlemen. It is a dangerous, dirty, and exhausting job, but it is a job. It is a rung on the economic ladder, a way to turn the waste of the global economy into a fragile kind of hope. Katherine spent over 3 years in this community, and she tells its story through the eyes of a handful of unforgettable residents. There is Abdul, a quiet, conscientious, and deeply moral teenage trash picker. He is a genius at his work, and he is the primary breadwinner for his large family. His dream is to sort enough garbage to one day have a real house, with a real toilet, and a real wall that separates his family from the chaos outside. There is Asha, a smart, ruthless, and politically ambitious woman who is scheming and maneuvering to become the first female slumlord of Annawadi. She sees the corruption of the system not as a problem, but as a ladder to be climbed. Her dream is to escape poverty by any means necessary, even if it means compromising her own morals. And there is Asha's daughter, Manju, a sweet and intelligent young woman who is on the verge of becoming the first person from her community to graduate from college. She is the embodiment of hope, the proof that a better life is possible. But she is also trapped between her mother's corrupt world and her own idealistic dreams. Through the interwoven lives of these and other characters, paints a rich and complex portrait of a community that is not defined by its poverty, but by its fierce, desperate, and deeply human ambition. The spark, the fire, and the devastating lie. The story of Behind the Beautiful Forevers is built around a single tragic event, an event that begins with a simple, mundane neighborhood dispute. The Hussain family, led by Abdul, has been relatively successful. Through their hard work in the trash sorting business, they have managed to save enough money to begin improving their small makeshift hut. They want to install a new cooking counter. This small act of home improvement requires them to move a single shared crumbling wall by a few inches. Their neighbor is a woman named Fatima, often called One Leg because of a physical disability. Fatima is a deeply unhappy and embittered woman, trapped in a miserable life. She sees the Hussain family's small success as a personal affront. The dispute over the wall becomes the flashpoint for all of her pent-up rage and jealousy. A screaming match erupts. Insults are hurled. It is a typical, ugly but ultimately small-scale argument between neighbors who are living under the immense pressure of extreme poverty. But what happens next is anything but typical. A few hours after the argument, in a final desperate and horrifying act of self-destruction and revenge, Fatima douses herself in kerosene and lights herself on fire. This is the central tragedy of the book, but the tragedy is compounded by a devastating lie. As she is dying in the hospital, Fatima, prompted by Asha and other neighbors, gives a statement to the police. She tells them that Abdul, his father, and his older sister held her down and set her on fire. It is a complete and total fabrication, born from a moment of petty jealousy and fanned into flames by the complex social rivalries of the slum. And this single terrible lie is enough to bring the full, crushing weight of the Indian justice system down upon the Hussain family. In the jaws of a broken system. The story of Abdul and his family after the accusation is a harrowing journey into the labyrinth of a corrupt and broken system. It is a powerful philosophical case study in what the concepts of justice and truth actually mean for the poor and the powerless. The police immediately arrest Abdul, his father Karam, and his sister Kekashan. For the police, this is not a matter of finding the truth, it is a matter of business. They are not interested in evidence, they are interested in bribes. The Hussain family, who are innocent, are now trapped in a system where their guilt or innocence is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is how much money they can pay to the various officials who hold their lives in their hands. Abdul, who is a teenager but looks younger, is sent to a corrupt and violent juvenile detention center. His father and sister are thrown into the overcrowded and brutal adult prison system. The family's life savings, the money that was supposed to be for their new home, is quickly drained away by a succession of corrupt lawyers, court officials, and prison guards. Katherine Boo's reporting in this section is a masterpiece of detail and empathy. She takes us inside the juvenile detention center, a place of almost unimaginable horror, but also a place where young men like Abdul learn to survive, to form alliances, and to find a strange and resilient kind of hope. We follow the family through the maddeningly slow and indifferent court system, where cases are delayed for months, where evidence is lost, and where the truth seems to have no bearing on the outcome. The story of the Hussain family is a microcosm of a much larger reality. It is a story about how, in a system riddled with corruption, the poor are always at a disadvantage. They do not have the money or the connections to fight back. They are at the mercy of a system that is not designed to produce justice but to extract wealth from the vulnerable. While Abdul and his family are fighting for their lives in the court system, the other residents of Annawadi are fighting their own, quieter battles for survival, and for a piece of the beautiful forever dream. The book is a profound exploration of the different strategies and the different moral compromises that people are forced to make to get ahead in a rigged system. The price of hope. Asha, the aspiring slumlord, represents one path. She has decided to play the game. She embraces the corruption. She uses her body, her intelligence, and her political connections to slowly, ruthlessly climb the ladder. She becomes a broker of power in the slum, solving problems for her neighbors in exchange for money and influence. She sees her own corruption not as a moral failing but as a practical necessity, the only way to ensure that her daughter, Manju, will have a better life than she did. Manju, her daughter, represents a different path. She is the great hope of Annawadi, a sensitive, intelligent, and deeply moral young woman who is on the verge of graduating from college. She wants to be a teacher. She represents the dream of escaping poverty through education and hard work. But she is also trapped. She loves her mother, and she is complicit in her mother's corrupt schemes. She sees the moral compromises her mother is making, and it tortures her. Her story is a poignant exploration of the difficulty of staying good in a system that rewards the bad. And then there is Abdul. In the brutal world of the juvenile detention center, and later, while out on bail and trying to keep his family's business afloat, he goes through his own profound philosophical transformation. He sees the deep, structural injustice of the world with a new and terrifying clarity. He begins to think about the nature of good and evil, of ice and of water. He tries to find a kind of moral and spiritual clarity in the middle of the chaos. His story is a quiet, moving testament to the search for a personal code of honor in a world that seems to have none. Behind the Beautiful Forevers does not have a Hollywood ending. It does not offer easy answers or simple solutions. It is a work of unflinching realism. Katherine Boo simply shows us the world as it is, in all its complexity, its beauty, and its horror. The book is a heartbreaking but essential read. It pulls back the curtain on the hidden realities of global poverty and the incredible, often invisible human ingenuity that is required to survive it. It forces us to see the residents of a place like Annawadi not as a faceless mass of the poor, but as complex, intelligent, ambitious, and deeply human individuals, all of whom are striving for a better life, just like us. It is a story that challenges our easy assumptions about the world. It shows us that in the new globalized economy, the lines between hope and despair, between opportunity and exploitation, between progress and corruption, are often hopelessly blurred, and it leaves us with a profound sense of our own shared humanity, and a deep and unsettling question. In a world of such vast and growing inequality, what do we owe to the people who are living just behind the wall? It is a deep inquiry into the nature of justice in an unjust world. If you believe that we have a moral obligation to see the world as it truly is, in all its brutal and beautiful detail, then you are in the right place. Welcome to Geeky Philosopher. Subscribe and let's continue to explore the powerful stories that reveal the hidden workings of our world.